going over an ideal setup for the Gamecast system. So in front of me are laid out all of the components that is going to be necessary to complete a Gamecast setup. So first you're going to need the Gamecast system. This setup we're going to be doing with the shuttle. We'll go over connections for this later. Next to it I have the power cord for the Gamecast system. Also we're going to need 2 HDMI cords. One HDMI cord is going to be used for the connection from the Gamecast system to your gaming PC system, and the other HDMI cord is going to be used to go from your Gamecast to your monitor. You will also need an additional monitor that's not used as your primary gaming monitor. So another thing you will need is the Ethernet cable. This system does not support wireless capabilities, so that's important to make sure we have. Also, what we're going to be using is a 3.5mm cable as well as an isolator. This is used to carry your microphone input from your Gamecast to your gaming PC. Also, we're going to be going over the connections for the webcam, and also is the USB switch. This is going to be where you connect your mouse and keyboard, and it's going to connect from your Gamecast system to your gaming PC system, and you can switch the connections with just a simple press of the button. In this configuration setup, we're going to be using a Bluetooth headphone with a USB dongle and a USB mouse and keyboard. Also in front of me I have 2 adapters. One is this USB-C to USB adapter, and this is a USB to 3.5mm output and input adapter. This is the shuttle Gamecast system. We're going to go over all the connections on the system itself. So what you're viewing right now is the front of the system. You can see that it has a USB 3.0 port, a USB-C port, an SD card slot, and this is the power button. So now coming to the back of the system, from left to right, we have the power connection. This is your this top HDMI port is your HDMI out port, and this bottom one is your HDMI in port. Please note that it is not labeled. It is important to make sure that this port is used as the connection for the HDMI cable going from your Gamecast system to your gaming PC system. This is just a display port that can be used for a secondary monitor. You have an Ethernet connection, 2 USB ports, and a 3.5mm jack. Demonstrating the connections from the Gamecast system to the gaming PC system. For the purposes of demonstrating the connections, the monitors have been pushed to the side and you'll be viewing the back of the systems. So this one is connected to the monitor just via HDMI connection, and then we'll explain the rest. So first we're going to start off by connecting the power to the Gamecast system. Next, we will plug in the Ethernet connection. And then we will plug in the display. It's important to again note that the monitor needs to be plugged into the HDMI out port, which is the top port on the back of the Gamecast system. Now we will be connecting the HDMI in from the Gamecast to the gaming PC. Connection from your gaming PC to your Gamecast system into the HDMI in. This enables the capture card in your Gamecast system to capture anything coming from your gaming PC, such as your gameplay. Next, we're going to be going over the setup of a USB switch. USB switch allows you to have one mouse and keyboard for your Gamecast system and your gaming PC system instead of having one for each. The USB switch that we have here has 4 ports in the front and 2 ports in the back. The 2 ports in the back, there's one for each your Gamecast system and your gaming PC system. So you will plug in one USB connection to one PC and then one USB connection to the other PC. This connection in the front is where you will plug in your mouse and keyboard. And to switch between the 2 PCs, you simply press the button on the top of the switch. Now we're going to connect the mouse and keyboard. So now we're going to move on to the audio connections. This section may vary depending on which devices you have at home, whether it's a 3.5mm headphone, USB headphone, or a USB microphone. For our setup, we're going to be using a wireless headset with a USB dongle. So for this, you just simply plug in the USB dongle to an available USB port, and the connection for this is ready to go. Now we're going to go over another important audio connection. Since we have our headset plugged into our Gamecast system, we need to have a way to carry our microphone input to our gaming PC for in-game chat. That is where this 3.5mm line and isolator comes in. The isolator is simply used to improve the audio quality over the connection. We're going to plug this in to the 3.5mm 4-pin jack on the back of the Gamecast system. And then we're going to carry this connection over to the gaming PC and plug it into the pink microphone in connection on the back. If your gaming PC does not have a pink microphone line in connection, then simply plug it into the 4-pin 3.5mm jack instead. And now we have all the connections needed to start the software setup. So now let's talk about some alternative headphone and microphone configurations. So the setup that we just showed with the USB to Bluetooth headset is just one example configuration that a user may have. There's a couple other options for how to set up your headset and microphone. One option is that a user may have a 3.5mm headset. If you have a 3.5mm headset, what you're going to do is you're going to plug in the headset into this 3.5mm 4-pin port on the back of the shuttle system. Next thing that you will do is you will take an adapter, the USB to 3.5mm line in and out, and plug it into one of the USB ports. Now for the remainder of the connections, you will want to take your 3.5mm audio cable and plug it into the green line out of the adapter. So if you have a 3.5mm headphone with a separate USB mic, then you will need an additional adapter. So you will also need a USB-C to USB adapter, in addition to the USB to 3.5mm in and out adapter. So in this case, you could plug in your USB-C adapter into the USB-C port and plug in your microphone there, and then use an additional USB port to plug in your USB to 3.5mm output. Then again, the connection with the 3.5mm audio cable remains the same. You plug it into the line out of your USB adapter. If you have a USB headphone and a USB mic, then you will only need one adapter. In this case, you will need a USB-C to USB adapter such as this one here. To make the connections for this, you will plug in your USB-C to USB adapter to the USB-C port on the front of the Gamecast system. Then you can use the remaining USB ports to plug in your headphone and microphone as needed. Now for the audio line out connection, you will plug in your 3.5mm audio cable into this 3.5mm port on the back of the Gamecast system. And now we have all the connections needed to start the software setup. Now we've finished all the physical connections for the Gamecast system as well as the gaming PC system, and we need to move on to settings. We will start with the settings on the gaming PC. Come to your gaming PC desktop, right-click your mouse, and scroll down to Display Settings. This will open up a display settings window, as shown here. You can see that the computer recognizes two displays. Number one is the physical connection to the monitor. Number two is from the physical connection to the Gamecast system. It's important to make sure that these displays are duplicated to ensure that the capture card is capturing the correct screen the user wishes to send to the streaming server. We can do this by scrolling down in the display settings window, selecting multiple display options, and scroll up to select duplicate these displays. After selecting duplicate these displays, a window will pop up and ask if you would like to keep the changes. Select Keep Changes. It's important to note that at this point, some users may experience a change in resolution. This happens when the monitor you are using is larger than 1080p. It will be downscaled to match the resolution of the capture card, which is 1080p. In order to change the resolution that you're viewing on your monitor, you can come to the resolution drop-down menu and scroll up and select your desired resolution. In this case, the monitor I'm using is a 1080p monitor, so I'm going to keep it at this option. Now it's time to change some settings on the Gamecast system. On the Gamecast system, come to the bottom right-hand corner of your screen and locate the speaker icon. Right-click the speaker icon and select Playback Devices. This will pull up a menu of sound options. Each of these sound options correspond to a peripheral that will allow you to output the audio. You want to ensure that the audio is output through the headset being used. If you don't know how to identify which peripheral corresponds to the headphones being used, one option is to simply unplug the device. In this case, you can see that as soon as I unplug the headphones I wish to use, the Realtek High Definition Audio option changes from ready to not plugged in. By plugging the device back in, the state changes to ready. So I can select this option and set it as my default device. This will make sure that any sound being played from the Gamecast system is output to my headset that I would like to use. Next, we want to go to Recording. The recording section is for your microphone input. Again, you want to ensure that the microphone input corresponds to the microphone being used. In this case, you can find the option the same way as before. Simply unplug the device you want to use for your microphone, and you can see the state change from ready to not plugged in. Plug the device back in. The state will change back to ready, and you can set this as your default device. Next, we will need to select the device that we just set as default, right-click, and go to Properties. This will bring up a property window specific for the microphone. Select the Listen tab. Check the box that says Listen to this device. You will want to select the playback device that corresponds to the USB connection shown at the beginning of the video. In this case, it's the Speakers 3 USB audio device option. By selecting this option, we're allowing the microphone input to be captured as an audio stream, which will be sent to the gaming PC as a microphone input to allow users to use in-game chat. Select Apply and OK. We've now finished selecting all of the audio settings on the Gamecast system. We need to return to the PC system to ensure that the audio settings are set correctly there also. To do so, go to the bottom right-hand corner on your gaming PC system, locate the speaker icon, right-click, and select Sounds. This will pull up a sound setting menu. First, go to the Playback tab. Here we will see a list of speaker options. We need to make sure that the speaker option selected corresponds to the HDMI connection going from your gaming PC to the Gamecast system. It's critically important to ensure that we're selecting the right device in this step to make sure that when the capture card is capturing your screen and all of your activity, it's capturing the audio that goes with it. If you're unsure which device to select for the HDMI connection from your gaming PC to your Gamecast system, you can simply unplug the device as we've done in previous steps. By unplugging the device, you should see one of these go from ready to not plugged in. When plugging the device back in, it'll go from not plugged in to ready, and you know that's the device that you want to set as default. In this case, I know the HDMI connection from my gaming PC to my monitor is a Dell. Therefore, the only other HDMI connection available is this SC5C0. I'm going to set that as my default device. Now we need to move to the Recording tab. In this case, we need to make sure that we're selecting the microphone input option that corresponds to the audio connection we made from your Gamecast system through the isolator. In this case, I don't have an isolator, so it's just the 3.5mm cord that goes into your microphone input on your gaming PC. Once again, if unsure which device this is, unplug the microphone input, plug it back in, and watch which state changes. In this case, the only available device aside from the webcam is this microphone. I'm going to set it as default. When talking into the microphone connected to your Gamecast system, you will see bars moving, just as it is in the webcam example above. This is how you know that the game PC is receiving the microphone input correctly. Select OK. And your gaming PC is ready to use. There's one more step required, which requires us to go back to the Gamecast system. We have now finished setting up the system settings on the gaming PC and the Gamecast system. There's just a few more steps within Streamlabs to get started. On your Gamecast system, open up the Streamlabs application. If this is your first time logging into Streamlabs, you'll be prompted with a window that looks something very similar to this. You'll need to log into a Twitch, YouTube, or Mixer account in order to start streaming. I'm going to log into a YouTube account. We're almost there. Right now, the very popular thing to do within Streamlabs is to install overlays. In the future, we hope to work with Streamlabs in order to get a default overlay installed. For now, we'll just select the Themes tab at the top, and I will install a theme called Circuit Breaker. Select Install Overlay, and wait shortly while it installs all of the Circuit Breaker components. All of the components have been installed for Circuit Breaker. In the Circuit Breaker selection, we want to move to Live Scene. This is a scene most viewers will see as you're playing games or doing something else on your gaming PC. I would like to note two things. One, the video capture device is actually placed in the webcam window. This will need to be fixed. Another thing is, right now, there is a default background here. We will need to select that and delete it and add a video capture device. So first we'll fix the webcam input. In your sources box, locate the webcam. Double click it. You'll see at the top it shows you a preview of what input you will be selecting. For the device, we want to drop down and select USB device. This will change the input to be the webcam. Select Done. Now we will select this background and delete it. We need to add a new video capture device. So under Sources, select the plus button, select Video Capture Device, and select Add Source. Select Add New Source, here in the drop-down menu, you will see the options for your video captures. In this case, we want to select the capture card that has the input from our gaming PC. Scroll down to the bottom of the settings for the video capture device. Select the Use Custom Audio Device. This will bring up another option where you can select your audio device. You want to ensure that you're also selecting the MZ0380 PCI. This corresponds with your capture card. Select Done. Notice that the video capture device was placed on the top of the source stack. In order to get all of the circuit breaker themes to show, drag and drop this video capture device to the bottom of the list. This will put all of the overlays back on top of the video capture. Next, we will need to go to Mixer Devices on the right. Select the Settings button for Open Advanced Audio Settings. For a video capture device, default will have the audio monitoring set to monitor off. We want to expand this drop-down menu and select Monitor and Output and exit. And from there, you should be good to go. In order to go live, you just press Go Live or record your output settings. But from here, we can actually see that if I come over to my gaming PC and I move things around and open up Windows, it's actually being captured on the Gamecast system.